So we're ready to upload your book to Amazon. Fantastic. So there's a couple of things that you need to do before you upload your book, a couple of things that you need to think about. So when you get onto Amazon, it's going to ask you to choose 2 categories to put your book in. This is extremely important. We're going to get into it more later, but this is how you're going to become a best-selling author. So those categories are really, really important. First, it's how people can find you, but much more importantly, we're going to use this when we do our free book promotion, and we're going to use those categories. So this is extremely important. So what you want to do is you want to find the 2 categories that your book can fit into. So it's got to be a good category for your book, but we want ones that don't have a lot of books in them. So let's say your book is about business and accounting. Well, obviously you can't put your book into women's studies. It's got to go into a book about like business or accounting or something that makes sense for your book. But if you just put it in business, then you're competing with all the top business books. Rich Dad, Poor Dad is going to be in there, and you're going to have a very, very hard time finding your book. It's always going to be down the list because there's much bigger authors, books that are very popular that are going to be on the top of that list. So you're always going to be on the bottom of the list. So what you want to do is you want to find a category that doesn't have a lot of books in it. So if for that instance, you'd be looking for a book, you're looking for a category that fits like business and accounting, but is maybe a little bit more obscure. So maybe you can find a category that is accounting for a certain type of business or a certain way of doing it. So you want to look for kind of an obscure category that doesn't have as many books in it. Now you can kind of guess how many books are in it. You can do some research by going through Amazon. The easiest way to do it is there are programs out there. There's a great program called Publisher Rocket, publisherrocket.com, and I'll put the actual link for that. But if you go there to Publisher Rocket, you can actually put in the book genre, like the book title, the genre that you are wanting to do, and it will pull up the categories, and it will actually tell you how many books are in that category. Now, if you go to Amazon and you look at the ratings on the book, so if you go to a book on Amazon, and you'll see there's an area that says how many stars, and then underneath that there's a ranking, and that will give you a number of the ranking for every book on there. So like an average book might be generally in Amazon might have a ranking of 328,000 and something, and that means that is number 300,000 in the list. There's 300,000 more popular titles, right? And that is in that one general category. Then there are some subcategories, the categories that they have chosen. And so in the category that they've chosen, so let's say it's a spiritual book about crystals, and the general Amazon ranking is 300,000, but the ranking on spiritual self-help might be 4,300, and there might be another category on gems and crystals, and the book might be ranked number 200. That means that it's ranked higher in that category. It's further up in that category. It's not as many books in that category. So you're looking for those categories that don't have as many books. If you put it into Publisher Rocket, it will actually give you the details of how many books are in there. Basically what is your chance of getting to be number 1. It'll show you, if you have your book in that category, how many sales you need to make on that day to make it to the top of the list. So the top ranking book might on that day have 50 sales, or the top ranking book on that day might have 3 sales. So you want to be in a category where you can be the top ranking book if you get 3 sales, not if you get 50 sales. Okay, so categories are going to be very important. We want to pick our categories before we start uploading. That's going to take some research. Don't worry if there's a better fit category for you. We're talking about how many books are in that category. That's the most important. Also, we want to know what your keywords are before you start uploading your book. So you're allowed to have, I think it's 7 keywords on Amazon that you get to pick. So let's say it's a book about crystal pendulums. So I could pick keywords like pendulums and crystals and minerals and gems and spirituality and self-help and psychic and divination. So you want to find out what are the top searched words, and you want to use those words as your top 7 words, your keywords. So again, publisherrocket.com is a great program for finding your actual keywords. You can put in the title of a book and it will suggest and it will tell you the rankings of those keywords. You can also go to Google Analytics and you can find the search words that are most popular in that category. And you may find that, you know, crystals is more searched than pendulums. And gemstones is not as well searched as quartz crystal. Maybe psychic readings is more searched than something else. So you see what are your top 7 words, and you may be surprised. Things that you think would be a more popular word, maybe not as popular. So when I was doing for this book, if I put in marketing your book or what was it? Promote your book, right? So the word promote or the word market. The word market is 100 times more searched than the word promote. So you have to find out what your top keywords are for your book. Now, you might find a lot more than the ones you're allowed to use, and so those keywords you're also going to fit on your back cover. You're going to put in your description, you're going to put in your marketing. So don't throw away the other keywords that you find, but you're going to want to know what are your top keywords that you can put in there before you upload to Amazon. I recommend that you check the extended distribution if you have the correct size book. So extended distribution is where Amazon will put out your book to bookstores, like bookstores you see in the airport, and other physical bookstores can pick up your book. It's very difficult to get into those bookstores. I'm not sure how effective that is, the extended distribution, but it's sure worth it if you can get in, so you might as well do that. Obviously, you're not going to get as big a percentage once you go through a bookstore, but again, what are we talking about? We're talking about marketing you. We're talking about getting as many books out that can be sold as possible or read, because ultimately we want people to read your book. That's our main goal. We want to promote you and the content that you have in your book, and not really the book sales. So extended distribution, unless you are planning on going around and somehow managing to do that yourself, I would highly recommend it. It only works on certain size books, so the physical size. So like this pendulum book is too small. It won't work for standard distribution. This book that I have, you know, it looks like a standard size, but it's actually just off. So they do have a lot of choices, but you want to make sure, and that's why we talked about sizing really matters. There are different sizes, but if you have an odd size book, it's not going to go in. And some of the sizes are only for white paper, not cream paper. So this is an example of a white paper book. The paper's white. This is just a choice whether you want white paper or cream paper. This is a cream paper book. But the extended distribution sizes, some of them only work for white paper. So decide before you send it to your designer for layout what is your size and whether you're going to be doing white paper or cream paper. I mostly do white paper. I did these ones in cream because they're classic kind of antique books, so that's why I did them in cream paper. Other than that, I've done most of my books in white. But you want to check the sizes and make sure before you have it laid out that you have one of these sizes that fits that extended distribution. And I've put the sizes in my manual, but you can also find that when you're uploading. Kindle Unlimited. Okay, so you want to include yourself in the Kindle Unlimited program, or I would highly recommend that. Okay, and what that is if you are a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, you are able to read as many Kindle books as you want. Well, actually, I think there's a limit, but you're allowed to read Kindle books without paying a charge. So you're paying a flat monthly fee to be able to read these Kindle books. And as an author, you can either include yourself or not include yourself. But if you include your book in that, then a person wouldn't, if they subscribe, they don't have to pay the amount for your Kindle book. So let's say you have your Kindle book listed at, say, $2.99 to download and read your Kindle book. If a person is a Kindle subscriber, unlimited subscriber, then they can read your book for free. So how do you get paid? Well, you still do get paid out of it. There is a bank of money that is pooled, and then Amazon splits that between how many people are reading your book. I'll get a little bit more into detail about that. There are some kind of unscrupulous people that have written very, very long books so that they get more pages get read. I will talk a little bit more about that. But basically, you want to include it, and then when somebody reads your book, the first time they read it, not the second, third, fourth time they read it, but the first time they read it, they're reading it, and the number of pages that are read on your book is counted, and so at the end of the month, you will get paid from Amazon for the number of total pages that are read through this program. I find that program brings in almost as much money as my print sales. So I think it's actually, it could be a substantial check every month, especially when you've got more than one book going. The main reason you want to opt in for this Kindle Unlimited, though, is because that's going to enable you to do those free book promotions, and that's going to enable you to get to that best-selling author more quickly. So I'm going to get into that in more detail, but I really think that the Kindle Unlimited is good. You get to opt in for 3 months, and then after 3 months, it will automatically renew you for another 3 months. So if you, within that 90-day period, if you feel like you didn't like it for some reason, you can take your book out of that. So I think it's worth a try. Okay, so you will be given the choice of what price do you want to set your book at, which is very important. So for print, when you're uploading your print version of your book, you're going to get paid out 60%. You will find that there is a minimum amount that Amazon will allow you to charge for your book, and that is because it's got to cover the printing, and it's got to cover, Amazon getting paid a little bit of money. So you can reduce it down to the point where you make nothing, and it will show you on Amazon if you set this price, how much money will be your payout. So you could say, okay, I'm going to set my book at $6.95, and it will tell you, just as an example, that your payout is going to be $1.75. And that's because Amazon's taking the printing and they're taking their commission, and they're showing you exactly what your payout is. If your book is $14.95 or $19.95, obviously you're going to make more money. Again, why are you putting out this book? If you are putting out this book because you are promoting your brand and you want as many people to read it as possible, I recommend reducing the price of your book and not making it very much above the minimum. So, if the minimum that it will tell you, if the minimum that you can charge for your book is, say, $4.85, I would maybe charge $5.95 for your book. If it says your minimum is, $6, charge a bit more. Just so that you're making a little bit of money on your print book, but really your incentive is to get the customer to buy your book, because you want them to read it. You don't really care about how much money, whether you make $1, $2, or $3, or $5 off your book. You care about whether it's in their hands, whether they're reading it, and then they're going to come back and love you and want to do your courses or see you. So that's the main object of the game. Now, you might say that you're in a very niche specific category. There's not a lot of competition in your books. There are different schools of thought, so you may say that you want to highly price your book so that you're valuing your information. And there is, there is also some benefits to that if you wanted to price your book much higher, so that, people get that perception that there's a lot of really valuable knowledge in there. So that's kind of, you're going to have to think about that. You can, I think, change your price on your print book, but then you'll have to wait a few days for it to kick in. You can't put it on sale. So you'll see sometimes Amazon has a sale and they'll say, book regularly $9.95. There's a red mark through it and it says, book is on sale and it's $6.95. That is something that Amazon does. You don't have a choice of that. If you see they've done it to your book, hurry up and go out there and market it. But unfortunately, you can't actually do that. And I believe you still get the same payout if they do that for your book. Okay, so that's the print book. On the Kindle book, it's slightly different. And so on the Kindle book, they give you a choice of, do you want to collect 70% or do you collect 35%? Okay, this is based on the price of the Kindle book. So if you do a book that is $2.99 or above, so that means somebody goes to buy your Kindle book, they pay $2.99 or $6.99 or $9.99 for your Kindle book, then you can be in the 70% category. You can still choose, but there's no point of choosing the 35% category. They don't give you any brownie points for that. So if you're above $2.99, you want to put, you're in the 70% category. And you can still do the Kindle Unlimited as well. If you want to do a 99-cent book, and there's a big incentive to do that. Remember, the whole idea is to get your book and get your information out to the customer and get them to read it. So you really want that book to be as low price as possible. And you think, well, $2.99 or 99 cents is not much difference. But actually, it does make a big difference how many people will buy your book. So yes, it would be great to do a 99-cent book. And you're not going to make any money out of your Kindle sales, but you're getting it to your customer, who could ultimately come and buy, $1,000 item from you, or, become a lifelong customer from you. So you don't care whether you make $1 on the book. But if you're doing a 99-cent book, you're going to have to go in that 35% category. So you're basically going to make no money. Now, if you do a book that's $2.98, you're going to end up in that 35% category. So I would not do anything in between. You're either doing a 99-cent book, and you're going to have to do the 35% option. Or if you're doing a high price book, $2.99 all the way up to $10.99, that is going to be, you're going to check that 70% category. So for me, it's those two choices. Some of my books I have at like $9.95. Okay, and I like the $9.95 or the $6.95. That works both in print and Kindle. People still like that rather than a flat $5. They prefer $4.95. Okay, so on the print, you are going to set your price either this as just to make a little bit of money, maybe $1 a book if you can, above the minimum, unless you want to price it a lot higher, and you can do that. And the Kindle, it depends whether I would recommend the 99-cent book if you can do that, or you might want to have the higher priced. We are going to do that. We are going to do occasionally a Kindle free book, and that's because you've signed up to that Kindle Unlimited program. And so I'll be talking a little bit more about how to do that free. Okay, and so everything else is pretty much standard. Kindle